I'm absolutely delighted. Adam Fergusson is a character who's been intrinsically linked with the beautiful city of Bath since his book in the early 1970s, The Sack of Bath, was launched. So for him to be made a free man of the city is a fabulous recognition of just how much he has done to save this iconic city.
Why now? I mean, it's quite a long time after the book was published.
Okay, that's on me. Truth be told, his daughter Lucy contacted me towards the end of last year and asked me if Bath Preservation Trust would nominate Adam for Free Man of the City. That would have been 50 years since the book had been published. Of course, the wheels turned quite slowly, and it ended up being decided upon by the charter councillors of the Mayor's office this year. And so we've known the news for about 3 months now. So yes, we're a little bit late, but better late than never.
Those charter trustees finally doing the honours. Now, what impact did that book have? Did it slam on the brakes in terms of what was happening in Bath?
The book was fundamental in changing what was happening to Bath at the time. The Sack of Bath was this travesty over 5 years between 1968 and 1973, where we lost very nearly a quarter of the original Georgian heart of the city to make way for concrete brutalism. Adam's book not only fomented a sense of frustration and anger and irritation about the loss of our collective heritage, but it also motivated some of our trustees at the time. John Betjeman was one of our trustees, and it also gathered the support of Prince Charles. Bath Preservation Trust was Prince Charles's first royal patronage, and he continues in his role as king as our patron. Without Adam's book, I don't think we would have got the momentum behind us to do so much to then conserve what was remaining of the Georgian heart of the Bath.
So not only did the book have an impact on stopping that destruction, but strengthened your arm in a way. Well, when I say your arm, you weren't there then, but Bath Preservation Trust.
Well, look, yes, I mean, it did, undeniably. We'd spent, from 1934, we were set up by the mayor, Thomas Sturge Cotterill, in 1934. We then worked to conserve and recognise the importance of the Georgian heritage. Following the Second World War and the Bath Blitz, we then worked with the council to reinstate so many of the features of the Georgian city. So then to be faced and confronted with this immense loss was something that we had to fight against, and we had to gather an army of people against that destruction. And an army it was. It ended up bringing in hundreds of volunteers, people who were sifting through the rubble, were recording the city that no longer existed, that was being taken down, sometimes recording it whilst the bulldozers were there. Adam's book was something which not only recognised that, but also brought it to the national level.
Do you not think it a little ironic that the current local authority, Baines, is giving the Honorary Freedom to a man who 50 years ago was very critical of the local authority here? I know it was a completely different one at the time, Bath Corporation.
Great question, thank you. The local authority has been a great defender of the World Heritage status of Bath. The city of Bath was inscribed in 1987. It takes about 10 years for a World Heritage site to get its inscription, so we can link the process back to the beginning, which is when Adam's book was published. And whilst we are seeing some difficult developments, the local authority is also supportive of the second inscription for the Great Spa Towns of Europe. So Bath is one of the very few double inscribed World Heritage sites. I think the local authority is in a different position. It's no longer supporting huge projects which bulldoze the heart of the city of Bath. The corporation openly and wantonly wanted to rip down the Georgian heart. The local authority, the administration, is working to enhance the city. to enable things like retrofit in historic Georgian buildings so they are viable for the future. But of course, yes, we still challenge inappropriate development, and we still work with the council, or we object to the council's decisions where it makes sense to do so. We must never forget that whilst we are seeing developments and we know that there is this huge growth agenda, Bath is a globally unique city. It is extraordinary for what it provides us, that it shows architecture, intentional city design, the purposes of building, and it is one of the most unique cities in the world. We would never have this if the Sack of Bath hadn't been published, if Adam hadn't been so vocal in his anger and frustration. That demolition would most likely have continued. So his action, his very significant action, stopped so much, and it gives us what we have today, one of the most incredible places to live in Britain, one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
And it must be said, as you were kind enough to come away from the office to do this interview, that we are standing in the Museum of Bath Architecture, and this is the place to come to see and find out more about the story of Bath and the way it's developed over the years.
The collection that we have in this museum was gathered from the rubble that was created in the Sack of Bath. So we have ironwork and door pulls and newel posts and woodwork and lath and plaster and original tools. And what we have is a record of the way that the city was built. This collection, which is unique in the country, would not have been possible to accumulate without that army of volunteers. Of course, we would love those buildings to still be upright and standing, but as they're not, we record the history and what they provided to the city.